Blessed
Blessed
night,
night,
Miss classmate.
class and
Our group
classmate.
will be presented on
Our
the
group will be
Ipsa case
presented
study,
on the five
San Pedro Town
questions
Council financial statement for year
of the
ending
Ipsa
March
case
31st,
study for
2023.
San Pedro Town
Our group
Council
members
financial
are
statement
Miss
for year
Rachel
ending
Lucas, Miss
March
Chantel
31st,
Augustine, Miss
2023.
Doreen Flowers, and
Our group
myself, Miss
members
Eula
are
Sabal. Miss Rachel Lucas, Miss Chantel Augustine, Miss Doreen
determine
Flowers, and
whether the San
myself,
Pedro
Miss
Town
Eula
Council
Sabal,
is required to submit a budget in accordance with IPSA.
No,
Determine whether the
not
San Pedro
directly.
Town
The
Council is
reason
required
being,
to
the
submit a
council
budget in
prepares its
accordance with
financial
IPSA.
statement using the
No,
IFRS,
not
which is the
directly.
International
The
Financial
council
Reporting
prepares
Standard
its
for
financial
SME,
statement using the
which is the small
International
and
Reporting
medium-sized
Standards.
entities,
Abbreviation
not
is the
IPSA.
IFRS for
The council should
the
have
SME,
presented its budget in
not
accordance to
IPSA.
IPSA 24.
The
It applies to
council should have
entities that are
presented its
required to
budget
make
in
the approved
accordance to
budget
IPSA
publicly
24.
available because as
Uh,
a public entity in Belize, the council manages public funds and is accountable to its constituents. Presented the budget enhances transparency, accountability, and comparability.
Good evening. My name is Chantal Agustin, and moving on, we were tasked to list the components of the statement of financial position that was presented by the San Pedro Town Council. So we have identified the assets, and then more specific, we have the cash and equivalents, trade and other receivables, property, plant, and equipment, and intangible assets. Liabilities listed were trade and other payables, loan and overdrafts, severance payables, and unearned revenue. We had net assets. Um, Under net assets, we specifically noted the accumulated surplus, prior period of adjustments, and adjustments due to IFRS for SME adoption. Um, Here we can see a breakdown of the assets listed, and majority was property being 43%. Secondly, we had cash and cash equivalents being 21%. Next, we had equipment being 17%, followed by receivables 14%, and the smallest portion of asset breakdown was the intangible asset, which was only 5%. As it relates to the components of the statement of performance that the town council should have presented under Ipsas, should present under Ipsas, definitely would be the revenue, expenses, surplus, or deficit for the year, changes in net assets, and comparative figures for previous year. More specifically, under revenues, we have tax revenues, for instance, property tax, non tax revenues, for example, fees, fines, licenses, and permits, anything traffic related. We had grants or subventions from central government, and any other income as it relates to revenues. Expenses now would include the operating costs, which would be legal fees, audit costs, travel and travel expense. We had the finance costs, which would be interest on loans and the loans that they have incurred. Employee costs, which would be salaries, wages, and benefits. Um, and also we had depreciation and amortization of the assets, which should have been stated, and supplies and consumables, meaning office materials and fuel of that sort. Um, and then we move on. We also put together a graph here that shows the revenue and expenditure for 3 years as listed in the San Pedro Town Council report.
Good evening, class. My name is Rachel Lucas. I will be presenting on the statement of financial position, also called the balance sheet, which reflects the following: It reflects assets, liabilities, net worth, or net deficit, and this is expected to provide future growth. Assets is what the council owns, such as cash and cash equivalent, trade and other receivables, property, plant and equipment, tangible assets. Liabilities is what the San Pedro Town Council owes other person or entities. It includes trade and other payables, loans and overdraft, severance payable, and unearned revenues. It also stated in the financial position or balance sheet is the net asset, which is also known as net worth and or net deficit. The net asset is the difference between the assets less liabilities. To calculate if it's a net asset or a net deficit, it's asset less liabilities. However, in the San Pedro Town Council, it shows that it has a net worth, which shows that the council is doing fine and in good standings. The town council, if the liabilities were more than the asset, it would be a net deficit. In this case, it shows that yes, the town council has a net asset.
Number 5. Deficiencies in the application of the accrual basis accounting and Ipsas 1. Presentation of the financial statements noted in the financial statement of the San Pedro Town Council. Yes, there are some deficiencies. The framework was misaligned. This causes because the council uses IFRS for SMEs and not Ipsas, which limit full compliance with Ipsas 1. The presentation format was also not correct. The statement of activities lacked clear clarification of revenue and expenses by nature and their function as required by Ipsas 1. Under accrual basis accounting, there were also some deficiencies found. 1. Incomplete recognition of liabilities. Servants payable and unearned revenue were disclosed, but there were no evidence of accrued expenses such as utilities and audit fees. Under Ipsas, this requires full recognition of liability when services are received, regardless of payment time. Number 2, revenue recognition timing. Revenue from license, permit, and taxes appear to be recognized when received and not when earned. Under Ipsas accrual basis, revenue should be recognized when the underlying transaction occur and not when it is received. Under Ipsas 1 compliance, the lack of comparative information was also found. Ipsas 1 require comparative figures for all amounts in the financial statement. The council report did not consistently represent prior year comparison across statement and notes. 2. Missing budget versus accrual comparison. Under Ipsas 1 and Ipsas 24, require disclosure of budget figures alongside actual results with explanation for material variances. This was not included in the financial statement. 3. Another differences that was found was statement structure. The presentation format follow IFRS for SMEs, which differs from ITSA in terminology and layout. For example, Ipsas uses statement of financial performance and statement of financial position, while IFRS uses income statement and balance sheet. The council statements lack a statement of changes in net asset and equity, which is required under Ipsas 1. Disclosure gaps. Limited narrative on performance objective was found. No segment reporting. No explicit compliance statement with Ipsas. These gaps suggest partial alignment but not fully compliance with Ipsas standard. To conclude our findings of the case study of the San Pedro Town Council financial statement for March 31st, 2023 is while the San Pedro Town Council made a commendable effort in presenting its financials under IFRS for SMEs, transitioning to IPSAS would require the following: full accrual basis recognition of revenue and expenses, the enhance of all disclosure, budget comparisons of the prior and presented year, and IPSAS compliant terminology and structure. This concludes our findings for the case study under IPSAS for the San Pedro Town Council financial statement for March 31st, 2023. Ms. Yula Sabal did our introduction and answered question number 1. Ms. Chantel Agustin answered question number 2 and number 3. Ms. Raquel Lucas answered number 4. And myself, Doreen Flowers, answered number 5 along with the conclusion. Good night, miss. Hope you enjoy our presentation. Thank you.